Laura,
Hey.
you are ocean number 3. How does it feel as a number?
As a number, I don't know. I never thought about the number 3. I like number 8.
Oh, you like number 8?
Yeah, maybe we have to schedule another time.
Well, you are my third guest, and
Oh.
like I'm so honored to have you here on
Thank you.
Ocean 15. And like we have a philosophy, and we say that everybody's an ocean, and to really get to know somebody, you have to cross the ocean. So I'm gonna use the 7 Seas interview
Okay.
to uncover like parts of you that probably like people don't
Oh,
know.
Okay.
And it's like, so we're gonna go through these 7 questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Nervous but ready.
Okay, let's do it. So, water is life, and life on Earth is linked to water. One could say that our whole civilization, right, is built on the use of water. Water plays a critical part in the history of humankind. Now, the most notable example are the ancient Egyptians, who were based on the Nile, the Mesopotamians, in the Fertile Crescent of the Tigris, Euphrates, like the 2 big rivers. Now, what does the culture, civilization of creativity needs to prosper? What is the equivalent of water in a creativity like space? What do we need to prosper?
It's a hard question, but this makes me remember there's a trend in the internet in Brazil that said like Brazilians should be studied by NASA because we invent a lot of things. For example, like because we have like so many difficulties that we are kind of MacGyver, that we invent, for example, air conditioning with
Okay.
a bottle of Coke and some ice and a box.
Okay, yeah.
So we're born creative. And I
Right.
think for our industry, we should incorporate more diversity because we have like narrow vision, and if you open the vision, we're gonna open to more Brazilian creative way of thinking. So I think diversity.
I like
would be
that. I
one.
like openness. It's like I think what you say is extremely fair. Like sometimes I feel like that the industry is like this glass of water that sit on a table, and
Yeah.
like nobody like spill this glass of water.
No.
Nobody's like exactly you can't touch it. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's good to see like if you spill it or you knock it down, and to see the water like going everywhere and penetrating everywhere. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what we need, because I think that's what I love about the Brazilian culture. You say like AC made of like ice cube and
Yeah.
like a bottle of water put in front of a fan. It's like, and I
Yeah.
like that kind of like inventiveness.
Yeah.
That's the word. Good. Like second question, like scientists agree that about 10 major tsunamis occur every century. That's pretty scary,
Yeah.
right? Now, based on historical data, about 76% of the world's major tsunamis have occurred in the Pacific Ocean and its marginal sea. 10% they occur in the Mediterranean Sea, and the rest in between the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. Now, tsunami bring destruction that force you to change. We are living through a time that is truly destructive, right? We just went through a pandemic. We are still going through the pandemic. If you think about your career and your journey as a creative,
Okay.
was there a time where destruction was part of your journey?
Every day.
Everyday destruction.
Yeah, I have to talk about my career through a woman perspective. I'm
Okay.
a woman in a creative department. Just to give him some numbers, we are only 26% of the amount of roles in the creativity are women in Brazil. When you go to the creative directors, our director, ACDs, executive creative directors, and CCO, it's 25%. When you look at only a ECD and CCO, it's only 2%.
Wow.
So we're few women in a high leadership, and to get there, you have like a different path than the men's. So you have to reinvent yourself every day to have something different from the guys to survive in this very like tsunami environment, you know. Because I'm going to give you a very practical example. We are not in the same jobs as men's, as like possibilities to do a great campaign for some brands. We are pushed to the brands, they're woman brands.
Right.
So if you want to do something different, you have to do your job and try to go to another job with a friend and try to do something.
Do you think that to reinvent yourself, you need to destroy yourself?
No. But
Do you think that there is part of you that's going to get destroyed when you reinvent yourself?
That we're trying to not doing that, because otherwise it's not going to be what we need for the table and for the creativity. I have the woman and mother and entrepreneur eye, like look of the visions of the things, and I have to keep them. I'm not going to destroy that, but I have to add their visions.
Okay, so it's more than an addition than a subtract.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay, third question. The entire ocean floor has now been mapped to a maximum resolution of around 5 kilometers, which means that we can see most features larger than 5 kilometers across those maps. To map the ocean floor, it's really, really difficult, because unlike mapping the land, you had to deal with the seawater. It's a barrier, and it's very hard to do your job. And now Google is one of the global companies that made some of the most amazing discovery when it comes to mapping the ocean floor. But when it comes to exploring, there is a philosophical question that arises, and that applies to our daily job. When do you say to yourself, this is done, this has been discovered, I move on? Or when do you say, oh, there is still more that I can discover? Where do you draw a line? Because sometimes I find myself that I'm into a topic of, like, you know, dissecting something, and I'll say, okay, yeah, I discovered enough, I move on. But there is still more that I could discover. But I found myself drawing a line and say, that's it. This exploration, this personal exploration has been done.
Yeah.
How do you say that? What happened with you?
Have you ever do the 16 personality test?
No, I never did. It sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, to understand your own way of creative, how we were creative.
The 16 personality test?
Yeah, it's a test. Like the
Okay.
audience can look into the internet and see that. And I have a very specific personality that it's introvert. But it means introvert. It's not because I'm shy or something like
Right.
that. When I work, I need all the informations, and I go talk to myself, not other people, to come up with ideas. But I need all the informations. So I'm constantly looking for information inside before thinking about ideas. So I get my planning and all people around me crazy, because I start to ask questions and questions and questions to understand the real feeling behind this.
You know, it's funny thing, like you mentioned that, like, that you talk to yourself.
Yeah, I talk to myself.
Let me ask you something. I want to riff on this. What voice do you use in your head when you talk to yourself?
I'm questioning all the time.
What voice do you use? Do you use your own voice? There is a voice in your head.
No, yeah.
What voice do you use?
I think I use a very like a teacher voice.
It's not your voice.
No, it's not my voice, because I'm asking questions for the same problems.
And who is this teacher? Was a teacher that was from your elementary school, or just like a voice of a person that doesn't exist?
It's a voice of a person that doesn't exist, but it's someone that push me harder, and making like different questions.
So you made up a voice in your head. There's a teacher.
It's a teacher
that doesn't exist.
Yes.
That talk to you.
Yes.
When you come up with it, super
Yeah.
interesting. See, that's a
Yeah.
discovery. There's another discovery that they made that drove me crazy, and I read like a couple of months ago. There is people that don't have a voice in their head.
Really?
Yes. Not everyone has a voice in their head.
Oh.
Not everyone, when reads a book, has a voice in the head. You know, when you read, for instance, you read a book,
Yeah.
you use a voice in your head,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and normally if you're a man, you use like a man voice. If you're a woman, you use a woman voice when
Yeah.
you read a book, right?
Yeah.
Most of the people, they use their own voice. Because,
Really?
well, yeah, because like it's the first voice you're more used to, right? Because you listen to yourself speaking a lot throughout life. So that's the voice you use. Like,
I have
you know,
a huge casting of voice in my head. Like
that's strange. I'll tell you this is very interesting. Like whenever I read a poem, the last 3 lines of the poem, I always use my mom voice.
Oh.
Because when I was a kid, she used to read me
Feelings.
poetry.
Yeah.
And I always remember the way and the tempo she used to read the last 3 lines of every poem. So no matter what poem I'm reading, the last 3 lines, always my mom voice comes in.
Oh.
That's
When
crazy.
Crazy. When I read the book, I read with the voice of the character. If it's a man, I read
Right.
man. It's a woman. And
But
a
the
child.
sound of the voice,
Yeah. But when I'm in a creative process,
Right.
it's the teacher.
that's awesome. See, I made some great discovery now. Made some discovery. Okay. On November 9, 1917, the prisoner Nelson Mandela entered a cell in Robben Island, a flat and oval-shaped island situated north of Cape Town. Now, Mandela prison was tiny. It was tiny like a fist, and bare knuckles, completely naked. There was nothing in the cell. From his cell, though, he could look at the sea and give his thoughts an unstoppable force. He wrote in a 1970 letter to his wife, "The cell gives you the opportunity to look daily into your entire conduct to overcome the bad and develop whatever is good in you." Was there ever a place, a physical place in your life that shaped who you are today? It doesn't have to be a prison, of course. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a cell. But was there a place that shaped who you are?
Yes, I meditate every day. So I have a place to go and meditate and do yoga. And I have a cushion
Okay.
that I seated. And when I seated there, I have to connect to myself and thinking about the day and what energy I need.
Is
to
this
go
place in
further.
your living room?
No, it's in a special place.
In a special place? There is a physical place.
It's a physical place that has my altar and has my yoga stuff.
And that's a place that, is it fair to say, that define who you are?
Not defined, but make me think about who I am.
Does Sao Paulo define who you are?
No,
It doesn't.
no, it doesn't.
Is there any other village or little cities around Sao Paulo in your memories that define who you are?
I don't like definitions.
You don't like definitions?
Yes. So I think I'm the group of things that made me, not one
A
thing.
group of things.
A group of things, different kind of things. So I like my work, and I know that my work should be doing in the city,
Mhm.
but I need to be connected to the nature. So in my vacations, I go
Right.
there, and I need my yoga place, and I need to be. Oh, I live in a house, and it's very uncommon in São Paulo, because we have buildings there.
Right.
But I need to put my feet on the floor every day.
See, there is a place, it's the floor.
It's the floor. Yeah.
It's the floor. I love
Yeah.
this answer. Okay, look. Fifth question. You cannot discover new ocean unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore.
Mm-hmm.
You had to leave the shore.
Mm-hmm.
This quote from Andrea Gide. You are a podcaster. You also are a creative that work in the advertising industry, and I'm sure you have many things. You already told me something offline that drove my curiosity, which is you took a course on how to immobilize snake,
Yes.
which I found fascinating. So you left many shores.
Yes.
When you leave a shore, is there something that click inside you that make you go for an adventure?
Mm-hmm.
And if there is, what's that thing?
What is that thing?
Yeah, that click inside you.
When I'm realized that I'm in a comfortable zone and I didn't evolve as a person and as a creative, for example.
Okay.
So sometimes I do a move in my career.
Right.
It's a pattern. Every time I change job, I need to do something very different than the other job that I'm in.
So when was the last time the thing clicked in your head?
Happened every time. So I started at traditional advertising, and I
Right.
went to the digital, and I went to the content, and now health.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to move to a different experience to incorporate more skills. And what it means about skills, I have like a metaphorical thing to understand that. When I started in advertising, I have like a box of 12 crayons.
Right.
When I moved to like digital, I incorporate more 12. When I moved to like content, I incorporate more colors, and health, more colors. So now I can come up with ideas that has more color,
Right.
my potential, and something like that. So when I realize that I know this so much, it's time to move.
You feel it.
Yes.
Wow. So I just want to ask you a question about that. So like you say you start with like how many crayons?
12.
12.
It's the basic one. You have
It's a
12.
basic one. How many
Yeah.
crayons do you have now?
I think more than 48.
Oh, wow. I love
I
the
have like
number.
this big crayon, like,
I love the number.
in a beautiful box.
Awesome. Talking about crayons and talking about like painting, there is a Japanese painter, Katsushika, I don't know if I pronounced correctly, Katsushika Kokuzel. It's considered to have painted one of the most imaginative and fascinating representation of a wave.
Mm-hmm.
This painting is very famous.
Mhm.
In the painting, the wave becomes a monster,
Mm-hmm.
a giant leviathan threatening with its fangs the agile and audacious ships that cross the Japanese seas. Bridging to the creative business, we as a creative are threatened by monsters. Like we deal with monsters
Mm-hmm.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
We are crushed by giant waves.
Mm-hmm.
The wave of insecurity, for instance, is one of the biggest wave. I mean, I just like, I was interviewing like, Ocean One, a team, and he was talking about like his insecurity
Mm-hmm.
and how he deal with that, like in his journey. What's your monster?
This is a long answer. First of all, I'm a woman,
Mm-hmm.
so I have to deal with more monsters than men.
Okay.
When you have to, and I'm sure that I'm not dealing with the amount of monster that a black woman has.
Mm-hmm.
So when I have to create something, I have to like find some idea. So this is like an amount of monster. But I have another things that we call imposter syndrome. I have to think the way I'm going to present the idea, the way I'm going to show the idea, and be like very confident for the people in the room understand my idea. So there's other monsters than finding the right idea for the challenge. So, but you have to understand these monsters as a friends.
Right. There's a monster under your bed, right?
Yeah.
That was like a fairy tale, if I'm correct.
Yeah, as a friend, that these monsters make you stronger.
Fear is your friend?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. Because if you look to opposite side, you're gonna be sad all the time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think that insecurity is your friend?
Not every day, but sometimes
Sometimes it's your friend.
Yeah, it's my friend. And I said, I having this feeling, and this feeling is gonna make me stronger for tomorrow.
It's a good philosophy. Look, I think like the day that you enroll for that course of like how to immobilize a snake, it probably is like was a day that you decide like that a
Yeah.
monster became your friend.
Yeah, I deal with the fear like this. We were talking before about the if I came to live, it's my first time to Las Vegas, and I told you that I went to
Right.
like a motorhome, a trip. So I was afraid to drive in the roads, because every time I was like have the opportunity to do this, like a man or a friend driving for me. So I have to we have to stop having this fear. So I rent a motorhome.
I love it. I love it.
And I spent like 9 days driving a bus on
That's awesome.
to stop this fear.
What a great memory. Talking about memory, he has a question that is the last question, and we're going to ask this to every jury members of London International Awards. Now you are here in Vegas and you are judging some of the best work internationally. I want to ask you, you have two memories that you can pick from this adventure. It doesn't have to be related to work. And when you fly back to Sao Paulo, I need you to put these two memories, one in your carry-on and one in your luggage. Which one you put where and why?
The first memory, it's about people. I think the experience like this, it's always good to understand people. I'm like.
And where do you put people? In your luggage or carry-on?
Carry-on.
Okay. Why do you put in your carry-on?
Because they're important.
Okay.
And I feel that the experience that I have to listen different point of view and understanding people, it's so important for what I do. Then the discussion that we have here, a different point of view. Actually, we have like a lot of arguments today, because there are different people in the room. This is so important to do your job and understand the different kind of confusion.
Which memory you put in your luggage?
The luggage, I think the craziness of Vegas.
The craziness of Vegas. I'm going to say this to every guest, but only after they answer this question. When I pen down this question, the reason why I say what you put in your carry-on and what you put in your luggage is because what you put in your carry-on can never be lost.
Yeah.
Because you have it with you. Or you put in your luggage, you might end up losing it because they end up losing luggages, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's less precious. So you don't mind to lose the craziness of Vegas, do you?
No.
Love your answer. Look, thank you so much for being part of Ocean 15. It was awesome to cross the ocean and travel safe back to Sao Paulo and and I hope our ocean cross again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Laura. That's it. Thank you. You did wonderful. It was awesome. You did awesome.